Hello, Nikita,
Hello, Vasily.
and welcome to Happy Maybe, the podcast where we discover.
Can't quite decide what we're doing.
Yes, where we decide what we're going to talk about on the fly, and we're never quite sure if we're truly happy or not. But generally, we we're always searching for some sort of happiness. Okay, but one of the things, as we talked briefly about before, that brings happiness is creativity, right? It's outputting something,
100%.
whatever it is. Mm-hmm.
It actually surprises me so much. I don't even understand why. Like writing blog and finishing a blog post gives me happiness for a serious happiness for maybe a day. It's like a day when I'm riding the high of having written a blog post. What is it for you?
It's a bunch of things. A blog post can be. I'm not a regular blogger. My blog, which I will mention in the show notes for those who are curious, is quite full of articles, but I don't consider it something that I constantly maintain. Music, I do music. I've been doing it for more than half of my life. I take long pauses lately. I've been like the last few years. I can be 6 to 8 months not touching anything music related, but then I make a couple songs here and there. What else? Something else. Anything side project related. If it's a video, like a video blog, finishing a video is a huge relief and a wave of some chemicals that make my brain feel special. And what else can it be? Just work stuff, regular work, delivering something and making it really nice. Just even realizing that people will barely appreciate how nice it came out, it will make me feel good. What are some other examples for you?
I wish I had as many creative outlets as you do. I have my blog, but I think what's interesting is when I started the blog, so my blog is called Pragmatic Spirituality. It's Chepanov.com. It's my last name. And I had it for about a year and a half. And I originally intended to write maybe once a month. And it was super difficult for me to put it out. And I made a conscious choice to not have it be part of any social platform. It's not on Medium. It's not on Substack. It's not on, Facebook. I don't have Instagram. The intention was to only be it for myself. And then when I did it, I have been asked so many times, why are you doing it if nobody can see it? You can't even leave a comment in there. You can subscribe to it. And I have a few dozen people who are, but obviously that's not a lot. And I really do wonder for myself, do I care if people read it? The answer I think is I don't, but it is important that it is public. So for example, when you release like a music, when you produce a track, right? Is that what you say? Track, like do you care that people listen to it? What if nobody listens to it and you have it finished?
As life experience shows, I don't really care, because if I cared enough, I would be putting out everything that I've ever made in terms of music and other things. I think the process captivates me more. I think I need the bare minimum amount of validation, and maybe 2 or 3 close friends will tell me that they listened to it and it was pretty cool. Something like this will be enough. If anyone ventures deeper into giving me more detailed feedback, that could be even better, or worse, if they destroy me. It's going to make me want to crawl back into a corner. But recently, that's actually a very acute, very off the time subject, because I recently released a tune, again, link in the description for this episode, that is an example of a collaboration with a friend, Alexei, in San Francisco, where we took it seriously. We took it from the session where we sat down to kind of lay it down over Zoom. Audio sharing was amazing, by the way. It's a cool feature. All the way to publishing and distributing it across all possible channels, including Spotify, Apple Music, and everywhere. There are some things involved. There's some automations, middle products that we can use, but it's a lot of work, because you need to prepare artwork, description. You need to do mastering and follow rules. And if you don't do it very often, it can be very mysterious. But we pushed it out. It's out there. It hasn't been heard by thousands of people, but we both got the sense of satisfaction that it's not in our drawers. That's not on our hard drives, but it's out there. If I ever mention it, like I'm mentioning it right now, I can include a link and anybody can listen. It's a big difference between having something on your desk versus on the internet where anyone can access it. But somehow it's still not that important for me to put it out there.
Yeah. What I've been, I guess, struggling with is with the blog that I have. The original thought was to have a little blog post every month. And my blog posts are tiny. And I mean tiny. The intention is to keep them under 1 minute because nobody got attention span no more. So they're literally 3 paragraphs. You can read it faster than you read a text message. And even that, especially in a small format like this, it takes a very long time to write. But I haven't been writing one for almost 2 months because I couldn't quite decide what is important anymore, or the shit that was really important felt too close to home, like I didn't want to publicly discuss it yet. And today I finally had a moment when I was looking for a coffee shop in Austin, and I found one, and I sat down and I sat there for an hour and a half trying to squeeze it out. It's not quite ready yet, but there is a draft that I can iterate on. I do find it interesting that I can't possibly sit home by myself and do it. That is very difficult. I need to be out somewhere or be next to somebody to be able to work on these things.
Could it be a matter of synchronization with other people's actions? Like you see right next to you that people are doing something, or even if they're just chit-chatting with each other. No, what is it you think that triggers your productivity?
I don't know. I think it's that when I'm by myself, I don't feel good. So when I'm just by myself, I'm too focused on being by myself, and I kind of want to be surrounded by people, even the people I don't know, to just sit there at a coffee shop and just do the thing. Somehow it works.
Put a pin in it for another podcast. I'm sure.
Of course.
It's sort of for another subject, that we can discuss. It will come back inevitably. Okay, so that's good.
But before this episode, you mentioned to me that you were having a bit of a, how would you say, creative flow not flowing? Is that what you call it? Like, what do you mean? What's happening?
Yeah, lately, last few days, it's so normal for me to always have some kind of creative flow, and I am able to feed my creative engine by small things. For example, lately it's been very easy because of the generative AI services such as Midjourney. I can create images based on my prompts and then alter them. And now Photoshop beta came out with a new feature that allows to extend or replace certain fragments of an image. When I put those out, even like I share with friends, for example, in this conversation, we see each other on Zoom. I can take a screenshot of your face and add something in Photoshop later. And somehow that makes me feel like I'm creating something, like I'm training for a future where this is going to be useful. Lately, so I told you before, I haven't felt much motivation to put things out, and I have things on my list, even like basic stuff like submitting expenses for reimbursement or something like that. Even that requires a certain degree of creativity because you need to collect things and present them in the best way. And like I said, I had a work trip where I needed to do that, but like I'm just putting it off. I can't be bothered. And there's probably reasons for that, including on the heels of the previous episode, my frequent travels.
I really wonder if you're mixing up creativity with addiction to results. Like you're bringing up more and more examples that to me don't read creativity. Creativity to me is very closely related to expressing. Every blog post that I have it expresses something pretty deep and meaningful and important and a part of me, and I don't really have a choice not to do it. Like I know that I need to do it, and it is useful in itself to be able to produce this little thing that I can later point at. But that's different from what you're describing.
So one way to describe creativity is to use your imagination to make something new or think of a different way to do something.
Did you just pull up a dictionary definition?
No, I asked ChatGPT, and it's like being able to dream while you're awake and then using those dreams to make new things, solve problems, or even tell interesting stories. No, I asked to explain it in layman's terms. I think I understand what you're trying to insinuate, but also I think the act of creation is driven by creativity. So creating anything, really, something that didn't exist in the form to which it arrived. But maybe it's better to agree on the terminology so we can be on the same page. But do you believe in general creativity? Drawing on a napkin while waiting in a waiting room?
General creativity sounds like general relativity.
Or general artificial intelligence?
Oh yeah, general. I want to bring us back to the title of the podcast and how what we kind of really want to do is we kind of want to experience flow sometimes. And I would imagine that the acts of creation, even if it's a thing that you do for work that requires that isn't like factory work, that isn't just a repetition of the pattern where you can't do anything different, or where you need to solve a thing that hasn't been solved before or has been solved before but not in the same context. That definitely
I want to add a little thing to this, little bit of color, to do something that no one else can do like I can. Something that is going to be uniquely me, like a factory where you just print objects based on a form, for example, like maybe it's some kind of a conveyor belt type of thing where things are the same. Anybody can do this after some training, right? But then for me, creativity is creating something, no matter how significant or insignificant, that has my signature on it, basically, that nobody else can do exactly like me. It doesn't mean that I do it better than anybody. It's just my unique way. That's creative for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. And so when you step into periods in your life when you can't seem to get into it, how does that feel?
It feels like it doesn't fulfill my happiness expectations somehow. Maybe I don't have expectations defined like this, but I feel a little bit less happy. And I try to also remind myself that downtime is necessary for creativity down the line. Like I need to regenerate my creative fuel. That's how it makes me feel when I'm not creating as usual, like a struggle.
Right. I'm wondering right now if the intention behind creation matters and somehow makes some things better than others. Like, for example, we're on call right now. We're recording this thing. This can be seen as creativity because it is us saying things that only we can do. And I catch myself thinking, like, why am I doing this right now? Is it because I want people to know what I think or how I think? Is it because I need it for some reason? Is it like, what is the exact reason? Why does it matter?
I can name a few things.
And does it matter at all?
It's for posterity, for archives, right? To kind of put thoughts into recording. It's a way for us to possibly help some people that care to listen, and probably ourselves even before anybody else, to help ourselves figure things out. I also get a bit of a rush from creating this with you because we sound so smart and professional. We try to, at least, like we armchair philosophers, and we amicable, sometimes tiny bit of confrontational. Just it's fun. There's something, again, some chemistry in the brain that I appreciate.
I just hear so often people tell me how they think that you're writing the blog and who's reading it? Or, oh, you have what? A podcast? Well, that's kind of cool. You have a podcast. That immediately elevates you to a person who has a podcast. And what is it about? Oh, this? Cool. I keep coming back to all the individuals who's ever told me why are you doing it? And I can agree with you that it feels good. Like, somehow it feels good, even though it isn't anything.
Okay, I guess we arrived at the point of self-destruction. So one last closing thing I want to say is that thank you for bringing me into the recording of this podcast, because I've been feeling uncreative and unproductive, and now we created something.
I'm glad. I'm glad you enjoyed.
So I appreciate that.
Let's wrap it up. Thank you, Vasily.
I hope you enjoyed it too. I'll wrap it up and see you next time on Happy Maybe.